Okay, good evening, hello, and welcome everyone to this free Beetroot Academy webinar that today is dedicated to discuss all about the career in front-end development. I'm so glad you could spare an hour of the evening and join us. I hope that this event will be interesting and helpful to you all. My name is Veronica. I'm the event manager at Beetroot Academy and also the facilitator of this event. And today with our speaker, Manoz, I'm going to, try to help you say if a career in front-end development is the right choice for you. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to dedicate around 45 to 50 minutes discussing the career, what is front-end development, will you do as a front-end developer in the tech sphere. We're also going to discuss your typical tasks and goals, etc. And we'll try our best to explain you in the simplest words possible, just for you to get a general understanding. And then, of course, at the end of the event, we're going to proceed to, in my opinion, the best part, which is live Q&A session. Why I think is the best part for you, because today you have a great opportunity to ask questions to a live expert who can answer them based on his personal experience and his real life work cases, which I think is pretty good. So it's not reading, like lifeless articles or even asking AI, which still is pretty good, but to be able to actually share advice from a real life experience and like the real field. I think that's what the most helpful that you can take from this event. So my huge recommendation is not to be shy, write everything you're thinking about. Maybe you have doubts, something that seems challenging for you, write that in the live chat. That will be our main instrument for today for our communication. And by the way, let's start it over. So could you please tell me in the live chat if you can see me, if you can see the presentation, if the sound and video quality are good, just to make sure. And also, if you don't mind sharing from which place are you watching us. So I'm currently in Ukraine. I would love to see the geography of today's event. So if you don't mind sharing that, please write it down. I will also cover a few more organizational questions, and then, of course, we'll proceed to the topic itself. So as I mentioned, the event will be probably up to an hour and a half at large. It will all depend on the quantity of the questions we'll have at the end. We will cover everything, so no worries. And also, please don't worry if you will have questions like throughout the event, because I will cover everything I see in the live chat and we won't miss anything. In case you have to leave earlier, or maybe you can't be with us till the end, please no worries at all. You will have the recording of the event alongside with the presentations and all the bonuses in the email that will be sent to you via the address you used to register for this event. So you won't lose anything, and the access to those documents and to those files will be with you forever, basically. So in case you would like to come back to visit the information that we present to you, you'll be able to do that. Still, I recommend you staying with us to be able to communicate, to hear the real responses, and of course to be the first one who gets the bonuses, which I hope will be cool and helpful for you. Okay, so I see that everything is good. You can see, you can hear me. Thank you so much, Andy. So I think that's the perfect timing to basically go to the first slide of the presentation. And here I transfer the word to our today's speakers. So let's start with a simple presentation. Could you please tell everyone your personal and professional experience?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Veronica. So it's good to see you, everyone, tonight. So hope you all guys are doing good from whatever the country you are from, whichever the time zone you are from. So I'm Manoz Acharya. I'm from country Nepal. So it's been more than 5 years, more than half decade roughly. I'm in the internet industry. So I have been doing the software development, the front end, the back end, full stack since then. So I have seen a lot, from the internet standpoint, from the software development standpoint. But if you ask me about my competency, so front end development is the one which is my core. So it's been nearly 5 years. I'm doing the front end development only. And if you want to know about the industry where I have more exposure upon, so there are so many different industry I have gained a lot of exposures and experience. So quite a few, namely the edtech, the fintech, the artificial intelligence, the ERP, the CRM. So these are the kind of domains I have worked extensively. So throughout the sessions, I'll try to convince you guys why the front-end development will be the right career path for you into the upcoming days, and what is the actual meaning of front-end development, right? So what it actually looks like from the inside, because I know you guys are wondering or maybe planning your career ahead, right? But if there is someone to tell you about what really is, what does actually it means, then it will be really helpful for you to decide or take a wise decision also, right? So I'll try to justify your time in this webinar itself. So feel free to ask any questions whenever you feel like there is something to ask. So put in the comments at wherever you feel the easiest. Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Veronica.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let me tell you really quickly what is the main focus for today. So what you're going to discover. So those are four main topics that Manas will tell us about. So basically, first of all, what is from front-end development? How does it differ from like back-end, full stack? What are those terms we're talking about for you to be like perfectly clear in the situation? What are the typical tasks and goals of a developer? So what you will be facing on a daily basis in your job, in your career, how does a day in life of a developer look like? Also very cool, like an exercise for you to like try on this career and to also know what your typical work day will look like in case you choose the career. And also, I think the most important one that we're going to cover is how to tell if front-end development is your cup of tea. So I imagine that the most important question you're asking yourself is this the right career choice for you to switch into, or maybe to start from scratch? And of course, you have a lot of to wait all the advantages and disadvantages, and we'll try to lay them out for you to actually see for yourself personally. And the answer shouldn't be yes or no, it should be right for you personally. So basically, what to expect from the event is, of course, a quick intro into the world of front-end development, into the tech sphere, tips on how to tell if front-end is a good fit for you personally, and of course Q&A session, as I've already mentioned, to cover any of your doubts and questions and comments that you may have during the event. But before we actually go to the informational part, let's have a little bit of fun and conversation in the chat. So as you can see, I have prepared for you a small scale of cat from 1 to 7. And I would like to see how is your mood today, how you're feeling, because of course at the end of the day, we all like after work or whatever like challenges we have throughout the day. I would like to see how are you feeling and with what mood did you came to the event. So please pick a cat that represents your mood the best and put the number in the chat. I would love to see that. And while I'm waiting for your responses, and it's the same question for you. Which cat would you like to pick as a representation of your mood today?
Yeah, so personally, I feel like the number one, because I'm really in the fighting mood. Fighting means I really want to throw my words, my whatever the informations I have to the audience.
Yeah, great pick. Thank you so much. I would say I'm cat number 6. First of all, I'm also like in a blue shirt, so that represents number 1. And also, I'm feeling pretty relaxed. And at the end of the day, I think I'm really good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to, like listen to the topic we're going to discuss. Okay, let's see what other cats do we have. We have a number 2. Well, I hope that means that you're really comfortable sitting and listening to the event. That's good for you. And we also have 2 number 7 from Anna and Valentina. I love number 7. I don't know why, maybe because of the heart on the box, but I also love how cats, tend to pick those bags and boxes to just like cuddle there. So I also think that it signifies that you are like pretty comfortably sitting or laying down, whatever is like best for you, and also ready to discover today's topic. So thank you so much for the responses. I'm glad to see that everything's good and everyone's glad. So as I mentioned, let's then turn our attention to the informational part. And let's start with probably like, speaking about the general terms. What are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? And my first question will be, can you please explain us, Manas, what is front-end development and how does it differ from any other developments that can be in the tech sphere?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So first thing first, so I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the technology, right? So if you see around, there are so many technology that you are familiar with. I'm sure you are using different kind of mobile devices, different kind of websites, different pieces of softwares, different kind of AI tools these days, right? So somehow, somewhere, in whatever the level, you guys are familiar with the software as a whole, right? So if you want to know, okay, what is front-end development actually, and in that whole software development or the whole product development thing, where is the actual the front-end development thing required, right? Where is the position of front-end development? Then I'll tell you, the front-end development is the part of whole product development system. In order to build any system, there will be so many phases we have to go one after another, one after another. So front end is one of the integral part of any software product development. So whatever you see in the internet, for example, currently you can see the live stream, right? This is the interface, right? Where you guys could see me, you guys could see Veronica, you guys could see some screens, some designs, some buttons, so many things, right? And at the same time, you guys are also doing interactions with us in the form of chats, right? So technically, whatever you see is in the internet is the front end design. And whatever you can do with those designs, let's say the interaction, sending a chat, doing a communications, those are the interactions, right? So the design plus interactions combinedly, we call them as a front end development. So it's a big domain actually. There are so many nitty-gritty details that you guys will know once you get your foot step in into this area. But if you see from the top, the designs and the interactions, whatever you see in the internet is the front end. And the process of doing, the process of building those things is the front end development. And the person who actually does that thing, obviously we call them as a front end developer, right? So that is the role. So there will be a person doing this thing, and this thing is a process, right? And the process of what? If you are thinking, oh, okay, so the process is to develop any full-fledged software development. So at the end, so what is front-end development? So it is nothing just but the designs and the interactions. So yeah, over to you.
Before we go to the next slide, would you mind talking also about backend and like the full stack? So what does those like words mean?
All right. So earlier I said, okay, this is the some phase of software development, right? So if you look closely, what are the phase of software development? Typically, there are six phases from requirement collection to launching the product. And if you go to more deep and dive, so it will consist so many different tech stacks. For example, there will be a JavaScript, there will be HTML, there will be a database, there will be a APIs, so many different tech stacks, right? So in order to distinguish different parts of tech stack, there are different domains. One, that is the front end. Obviously, those are HTML and CSS majority, right? But there are also other things called the backend. So the concept like database, the concept like the server, the concept like APIs, those are the part of the backend systems. So, in typical websites, if you are building, for example, let's say the portfolio websites, that is kind of static, right? So if you know the front end thing, you can build the website like that. But let's say if you want to build the websites like, for example, YouTube, so obviously you will need the backend and front end both because YouTube is not just design, right? YouTube is kind of big platform where you can do a login, where you can upload a video. There should be some database to store all those information, right? So the moment when there is a database exists, then think, okay, there is a backend thing. So the primary difference is if there is a database, then there should be a backend. And in order to do a backend stuffs, there will be a different tech stack. And similarly, in order to our front end stuffs, there will be a different tech stack. And when we merge those two things together, the full-fledged, complex, a big, solution-oriented software could be built. I hope this makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much for explanation. In case anything is unclear, in case you have any questions, just write them into the chat and we'll cover them as we go. And for now, let's move on and talk about typical tasks and goals that front-end developers usually face in their job day to day.
Yeah. So this is one of the important thing, everybody should need to know. If you are just thinking, okay, I want to do a front-end development, journey, or I want to be a front-end developer, if you don't know what you have to do after, becoming a one, that will be a kind of waste, right? So first thing you have to do a lot of research. Okay, what things I need to do when I go to market, right? When I eventually land a job. So typically there will be a series of things, you have to do so many things actually, there is nothing like, okay, there's one thing you have to do for rest of your life or for next 1 year. The answer is no. There will be a series of things. And at the end, you will be working towards building some product, right? You will be working with some organization. You will be working with some team. That clearly means there will be a series of things. So I'll focus on the front end thing only. So as you guys already know, front end is kind of building a designs, right? Building an interface and adding the interactions. That means your day to day would look like, writing a code to build the components. So Veronica, is it fine if I share the screen?
Yeah, sure. Just give me 1 second. I will stop it
Sure.
and we can do that.
All right. Let me share. I hope you can see my screen. All right. So as you know, the front end consists the designs and interactions, right? So if you see any typical website or the software, there will be a components like the forms, the tables, the buttons, the graphics, the icons, so many things, right? So as a typical front-end developer, you will be 100% responsible on building these kind of designs. So this is just one example of, okay, these are the series of things that one typical project, so the software includes or software has, right? So your typical role will be converting this design, this visual, the mockups into the real websites. So you have to turn the idea of the designer or idea of stakeholder into the real, the use case in the form of the website or the software. So typically you will write a code in HTML or CSS or JavaScript to turn those designs into the real life. And you could use a series of different programming language. For example, this is one example of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is a sample code, and let's imagine you have already written this code. And at the right, we can see the output, right? So just imagine there is a designer or a stakeholder who asked you, "Hey Manoj, can you build one table with one buttons for me?" Or this is a requirement for this product. Then as a front-end developer, what you need to do is you need to write a code to build the skeleton, to build the visuals. Okay, there should be a table, right? And again, you need to add a code to add some kind of the colors, some kind of the visuals, cosmetics. And if there is some interactions, then you have to write code again to add interactions. So in this example, there is a table, right? So this is a skeleton, and there are different colors, right? So this is cosmetics. This is a designs, right? And if I click any of the buttons, let's say a delete, so here I can see the dialog box asking me to, shall I delete or not? If I click yes, there will be something. If I click no, there will be something. So if I click no, let's see, nothing will happen, right? The dialog box disappears. So again, if I click yes, the one row gets removed, right? So this is the interactions, right? So this is one basic example. So as a front-end developer, you need to turn the, the idea as the requirement of stakeholder into the real life. So this is a real example, right? So this is one example. But if you see any big product or software, that doesn't only include tables, right? There will be so many things. So typically in a day or a two, you will build this small things, and you will integrate and combine together to build a full-fledged website. Maybe within a week, within a month, sometimes maybe it needs a year, right, to build a product. So it depends upon the complexity, depends upon the number of requirements of the product itself. But in typically, you will write a code majority of the time. All right. So the writing a code is the big fractions of a day. But if you see any corporate, for example, the Microsoft, the Google, or any startups, they have some certain standard, right? They have teams, they have a product ideas, and they have to follow some protocols in order to achieve the results, right? In order to build a culture, in order to build the collaborative environment. So this is just an example. So I'll just go through one by one. So we already know at the end we'll work in a team, right? So there should be a communications among team. So the corporate use a different communication channels. For example, WhatsApp, Slack, Teams, or Zoom, in order to start the day, right? Uh, Imagine you work remotely, right? If one person is from Ukraine, one person is from USA, one from Canada, but you are working in the same product and in the same company, then how you guys do communication? There should be some channel, right? So in typical day, you'll start your day with some stand-up meetings. So that means you'll set some objective. Okay, let's come together and let's discuss what is the goal, what we want to achieve in the whole day, right? So this is the first thing. This is the first thing you will do when you sign into your the office laptop, or you will start your day, right? Second, of course, we know writing a code, right? When we do write a code, sometimes we need to communicate again with some person, maybe with the dependency, or maybe I need some resources from a stakeholder, from some manager, right? So again, I have to do meetings, right? So it depends. So it depends upon your task. So if you need any help from the peers, again, you'll do meetings, right? It depends. So I'm talking about this remote setup. But same thing, if you are working offline, you guys will be together in the same room or different rooms. But if you need any help, you'll go to that person and ask for help, right? So same thing virtually also. In the form of Zoom meetings or Teams, we do the same thing, but virtually. So these are the typical things, and there are also the things managing a task. So if you are working something, there should be a record, right? There should be a record to tell the managers, okay, I'm doing this kind of things today. I have done these things. So there should be a way to document your whole workflow, right? So there will be a tools like Jira. So project manager use those tools to see your performance, what you are doing, what to assign you, what are the complexities you are facing, and in which areas you can do collaborations with other teams, right? So these are the typical things. And on top of that, there are so many different things. Knowledge sharing section, reviewing the code between peers to peers. So in the ideal day, these all things will happen. It seems too much, but just imagine you are working 8 hours a day in one company. For example, 1 hour bed break. That means 7 hours constantly you will be in front of your PC, right? So there will be a multiple calls with your team, colleague, pair programming. Sometimes you have to write a code together, because sometimes you don't know something, but your friends might know, right? So you guys need to help together because you guys are working on the same projects. And in the meantime, you'll do a logout and you'll end the day, right? So this is the typical things. But these days in social media, we can see a lot of things, right? Fancy stuffs. Okay, this is how the day of software developers look like, working in a Microsoft, working in Amazon, right? We see the coolest stuffs. Of course, there will be a cool, right? But it depends what kind of organization you work on, which country you work on, right? So it depends upon those factors. But this is the standard. This happens despite of the size of organization, despite of size of the projects or the country itself. So yeah, I hope you guys understood. So if you have any question, feel free to drop. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah, just a second. So coming back to the website, to the website, sorry, to the presentation. You
Sure.
will have this presentation sent to you in the email. So in case you would like to check the text we already prepared for you, you can do that later. So no worries. And we're going to move to the next slide, which is titled "A Day in Life of a Front-End Developer." Of course, and I think Manas will explain it, but no 2 days look the same, and of course it will heavily depend on the company you work for and the type of the company, on the project you're working currently on. But still, I think there are some similarities. and we can at least prepare for you a bit of what your typical workday will look like. So, Manas, can you please, like, in the broadest terms possible, explain how do front-end developers usually spend their days working? So, what does it look like?
Yeah. So most of the thing I have already covered, but I'll give you a bigger picture. So so you will not work alone, right? So there will be a teams. I already mentioned, but there will be a different set of teams also. So you know the backend, right? So when you are working on particular projects, by just writing a front-end code is not enough, right? So there will be other person writing a backend, some person doing a server configurations, etc., etc. So in typical day, first thing you'll write a code. Second thing you will discuss with the designer, discuss with the backend team. Let's say if I am integrating some feature, for example, the sign in. So I will need the backend APIs, right? So what should I do? I need to call out the respective backend developer. I need to set up a meeting. I need to discuss. I need to get an idea how that API works. So even I'm a front-end developer, I should get an idea of basic backend. So I'll connect a meeting and I'll ask for the APIs and I'll start integrating those APIs. And after, if I complete some things, there will be a testers, right? There will be a quality analyst persons. So I have to, submit my task. Okay, I'm done with this. So can you test my work? So that means there will be so many different cross collaborations among team. So QA, the back end, the front end, within the front end, the DevOps. So it depends, someday you don't need to talk with the backend team at all, but someday you might have to talk the whole day with the backend developer. And most of the time, of course, writing a code. And this is, yeah, typical, the day look like as a front end developer.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let's move to probably the most important part, or at least one of them, is how actually a person can say if a front-end development is a great career fit for them. What should they pay attention to in their maybe character, maybe their interests, what skill set should they be ready to develop in order to become a good front-end developer? Can you share that?
Yeah, sure. So the answer is will not be, subjective. I cannot say in terms, okay. So it really depends upon your interest, right? So for example, if you are a creative person who really like about designs, right? Who really likes about touch and feel of the websites, then that is obvious. That is 100%. You will love the front end development. You will have, what it takes to become a front end developer. But there might be someone, who doesn't know anything about creativity, who doesn't know anything about designs, but will that person be right fit for the front end? So there will be a question, right? But of course, that person will be a good fit for the front end because, acquiring some basic creativity, basic design knowledge is not a rocket science. Just by just getting some explanation of some key concepts, how design thinking, how design process works, will, make those person able to understand the whole design paradigm. So everybody could learn the front end itself, but I'll tell you the bigger picture. So this, apart from the front end, there are so many different roles, right? The back end, the full stack, the AI. But if you see from the broader, broader level, the person who only knows the back end is good for sure. The person who only knows the full stack is good, fine. But on top of that, the person who knows the front end, it will, add as a catalyst. It will make that person a super, it will give a superpower. Because whatever the project you do in whatever the industry, there will be a front end. And if you don't know the front end precisely, whatever the backend system you build or whatever the other things you do in the tech side, that doesn't make 100% sense. So at the end, you should have the knowledge of the front end. The detail, the basic, it depends, right? So it is always good idea to pursue the front end because while you are pursuing, you will eventually figure out, okay, this is my passion or not. If you feel like, okay, this is my passion, of course you can continue. If you don't feel like, unfortunately, in that case, you can switch because whatever you are learning in the front end, you can transform your knowledge to the back end easily. And when you learn the back end, the plus point is you would have the knowledge of the front end also. And with the mix of those, you'll not become a hardcore backend developer, you'll also become a full-fledged software engineer. That there are so many added advantages. And if you see the statistic of the global market, most of the people think the front end is the easiest to pick. It doesn't require, the computer science degree. If you are from non-tech background, it is so easy to get into. And if you have never used, let's say, the social media in your lifetime, and if you don't know anything about coding, again, the front end will be the easiest thing because there will be a less, complex coding we have to do. We can start with the easiest path. So personally, I prefer front end to everybody. Maybe I'm biased because I'm also a front end developer, but despite of biasness, this is a kind of truth based on my experience. I'm saying because I have seen the person who knows the front end only, who knows the both, and I have had so many discussions, right? And I can see the future also. What are the trends coming up, right? So front end has a bright futures, and so many things are coming along the way, and different sets of roles are coming up in the front end area itself. So always it will be a good choice. And so do retrospective, just go through the job description of the front end developer and think, okay, this is the right fit or not. At the end, it should be your decision, but this will be, easiest path to get into a tech. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your advice. What I would like to share is that maybe, well, listening to us talking everything about like front-end development and career in this sphere is also good, but maybe also would like, to try just a bit of it to actually, try it on and understand if that's a good fit for you. And in that case, we actually can offer the opportunity for you to try it out. So if you go via the link that is here right here in the presentation, we have a free Into the Tech course that will offer you 3 free lessons, no commitment, that will have both theoretical and practical tasks, which is the most important, that can give you an idea of what is it to be a front-end developer. So you will have a few simple tasks. You're going to build a simplest page about like a dish, a national dish, and you will write a code with your own hands to create, a beautiful page with all the headings. I believe there is a table and a bulleted list and adding a picture. So all of those like simplest action that you combine to make a finished product, let's say, in our case, a page. In case you're scared that you're going to do that all by yourself, please no worries, because in those lessons, you will have extensive text instructions, but you will also have step-by-step video instructions made by our teachers, so you can either follow them if you feel a bit insecure, or you can try it on your own and then fix any mistakes if there are by watching this video and by checking yourself. In any case, I believe this is a great opportunity to just try it out, to see if you even like coding, if you like looking at those like words making up the whole new page just out of thin air, to be honest. But the best part that for all of the participants of the event, those who pass those 3 lessons, just 3 lessons again, of the free tech into the tech career course, you will get a 15% discount on the whole front-end development course that offers that we offer at Beetroot Academy. All you have to do is just, well, first of all, complete those lessons. It will take you, well, maybe 3 to 4 hours, so it's just like two evenings of your free time. And then when you join Beetroot Academy and when you have a step of the interview, or maybe you book a consultation with our educational advisors, all you have to do is to mention that you have always passed the free intro course, and that will automatically grant you the 15% discount. I hope that it will be good for you just to test the profession just for you, and also, in case you like it, to get a bonus that will make the new career and new education a little bit more affordable. And in case you use it, I will be very glad. So let me just also like talk a little bit about the academy and what resources we can also offer to you in case you are still, doubting the career choices, and how can we help you as well. So first of all, I would really encourage you to go to the Beetroot Academy website and go to the blog with our success stories. So basically, those are interviews with our students, with our graduates, who one day decided to switch their careers or to start a new career in tech from scratch after university or something. And those stories are basically their process of thinking, how did they choose front-end development or maybe like UI UX design. So what did they think about? How was their setting? And most importantly, how did they find their job? Why I think those stories are a great source of information for you. First of all, that's a great source of motivation. I think sometimes when you're just starting out, you can feel demotivated. You think that it's impossible to start over in the tech sphere, especially today when it's like so overwhelmed with specialists, especially with the beginners. But then you read not one, not two, but like 10, 30 stories of people who also thought that way, but they still tried and they worked hard and they dedicated their time and energy and they succeeded. And I believe that is such a warm like pat on the shoulder that you also can, and there is a way to get into the tech career and actually get a job that you will like and that will make you satisfied. And I think that's a great pleasure in life. But also, secondly, those stories are a great source of tips and tricks and advice on getting your first job. So, what should you pay attention on tech interviews? How should you put your CV, or what should you mention in the cover letter? And in that case, I really suggest you reading not only front-end success stories, but also, for example, from design or from the project management, because generally, some of the advice can be easily transferred between different professions and they can really come in handy. So I hope that will be a great resource for you. Again, you can access it by the link you see here in the presentation. And also, just a couple of words about Beetroot Academy, so you know who we are and why we're talking today about career in tech and in front-end development. So, Beetroot Academy is a Swedish-Ukrainian tech school. We've been working over 10 years for now, and we are proudly announcing that we have taught more than 12,000 students, and with our data, they are successfully employed in more than 700 companies worldwide. Great numbers we're extremely proud of. But we're also proud of our extensive number of networking connections with different companies, both governmental and non-governmental, different startups, tech companies all over the world who offer internships to our students, who help us be at the base, at the front line of this rapidly evolving sphere, actually, to be sure that we give only like hands-on best newest freshest material possible. Of course, again, with a sphere that's so rapidly evolving, it's really hard to keep the pace, but we're trying our best with our partners who are helping us greatly. And we're also proud of the acknowledgement we get from Alvega. It's a European organization that acknowledges educational providers. So all the materials that we're using for teaching, the like lesson plans and everything that we have for all our courses is certified by this organization, and also the diplomas, the certificates you will get at the end of the course if you like complete it successfully and do all the job. Those are also accredited by Almega, which has far more worth at the job market if it was just like from a tech school or a tech course. I would also like to tell you a bit about the educational method we use at the Academy, because it's kind of different of what you may have heard or used even yourself. So it's called flipped classroom. And in case you didn't heard a bit about this method, it's basically that you study a theoretical part of the lesson before the actual class, and then you come to a live session with a teacher, for example, with Manoz, who is also a teacher at Beetroot Academy, and you use those 2 hours of lesson to ask questions, to practice the topic that you have learned about, to maybe try and discuss something that you didn't understand, to do group tasks, to discuss your personal projects. So you have actually practical sessions to basically build up your skills, because at the end of the day, theory is great, but the practical skills, that's what will get you a job, right? And we try our best to give you the practical tasks and the practical skills during the live lessons and also during the homework, so you can be actually well equipped for the job market. We also have a couple of bonuses that we offer for the course, because we know that just giving the profession and learning the profession is not at all sufficient. So you will have a career counseling, which is a separate block that will be dedicated to creating a CV and a cover letter. So those like basic documents you will go to any employee to show you showcase yourself and like show you skills and your experience, and you will get feedback from a real Beetroot Academy recruiter on those documents, so you will know what to maybe improve, what to include, and how to fix it. You will also have a free AI module with, like, again, rapid evolving technologies. Artificial intelligence is a huge part of the sphere now, and you will have a free module with a couple of lessons on artificial intelligence. So you will learn what is it, how does it work, so the main basics, and you will have two separate, let's say, lessons, let's say blocks. First of all, you will learn how to use it, how can you use it as a front-end developer, and secondly, you will learn how can you use artificial intelligence while you're looking for a job. Believe me, there are so many cool free resources on checking your resumes, on practicing soft skill and tech skill interviews I haven't heard about, but we covered them all in those lessons and gave you the full list of the instruments you can use to boost, your job search and actually land a job. And yeah, that's the like our educational decision in a nutshell. If you would like to learn more about it, you can always book a free consultation, as I have mentioned, on our website to discuss both the program, the courses that we offer, and of course the way we educate to see if that actually suits you. And the last informational part will be, of course, about front-end course. I will give the word to Manas in just a second to actually explain what are you going to learn. I will just like cover the the small organizational stuff as well, which is basically the schedule, because we are going to have a group that will be launched very soon on March 25th, so it's like pretty soon. The teacher, of course, will be Manas, who is our today's speaker, and the schedule that we have is Tuesday and Saturday. So Tuesday it will be from 6 to 8 Central European Time, p.m., so at the evening. And on Saturdays, the lessons will be from 10 to 12 a.m., so in the mornings. As you can see, those are pretty extensive sessions for you to get all your questions answered, the homework checked, and the opportunity to actually talk and practice during those live classes with the teacher. In case you miss any lesson, I don't know, due to family emergency or whatever, like unexpected plot twist in your life, which, let's be honest, pretty often happens, you can always rewatch the class that you missed in the recording, because you will have those, and the materials that will be used in the course alongside with the recordings will be in our learning management system, and you will have access to those materials even after graduating the course forever. So you can always come back to them, re-listen the lesson, like look through the homework, look through the tasks, look through the terminology maybe, to prepare for a tech interview, for example, which is like one of the tricks I learned from the success stories our students do. So yeah, I hope that was like the overview and the information here that will be helpful for you. Manas, do you mind sharing about the program and the topics we are going to discover in the course? And is this enough to become, like a junior front-end developer to actually look for a job?
Yeah, sure. So if I have to say in one line, we have structured code in the curriculum in such a way that once you complete, you will be ready to land a junior front-end developer role. But with that said, you will also have a the mindset. You will prepare you in such a way that you will have a mindset and you will have a visions of how to upscale from that junior level to a mid, senior, and the advanced levels. So of course there are some predefined curriculum like in the roadmap like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the React. These all things will teach. But at the same time, we are also flexible because the new tools are coming in the market every year, every single day, right? So while learning these all things, we'll spend some time to understand what are the new tools are coming, how we can leverage those tools, and if you have any specific things in mind, okay, I have to learn this, is there any way to understand these concepts or so, we'll adapt or we'll make sure those things will cover up in that session itself. So more or less it will be a full-fledged the front-end course with all the things required to equip you to become a full-fledged developer. So be assured, guys, so there will be so many things. So this is just a trailer, but of course there will be so many things. You need to prepare yourselves to understand those all things and put extra hours and prepare a mindsets to okay, the go and getter kind of attitude. Yeah, over to you.
Also, do you mind sharing how many like finished projects the students will be able to add to their portfolio at the end? So what are you going to create basically during the course?
Yeah. So as I already mentioned, there are two big parts of the front end, right? The designs and the interactions. For sure, obvious thing is there will be a two different projects that can, you know, speak, you have two different competency, design and integrations. But on top of that, we'll also make sure there will be one another projects that integrate both together to showcase, okay, you have the knowledge of full-fledged front end, you have the knowledge of designs, and you also have the knowledge of integrations. So on top of that, we'll also try to add a flavor of AI, because AI is everywhere, right? So we'll figure out a way to add the concepts of the AI in those projects.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I move into almost the last slide of the presentation. So that's a small sign for you guys to write your questions in the live chat, because we are slowly proceeding to the Q&A session. That's a great moment to, take a few moments to write those questions down. And I'm going to share the last bonus I've prepared for you today, which will be a separate PDF guide on the career of front-end developer. As I mentioned, you will have both this presentation and the recording of our today's event sent to you in the email, but I can still imagine that finding out a separate hour to, sit down and rewatch everything can be tough and challenging in like modern life with all the duties you may have throughout your work week or even weekend. But in case you would like to, come back and to see the most important information put into clear infographics, clear sites, clear, paragraphs with no additional like water and everything, you can do that by accessing this guide. You will hear there everything we have talked today basically. So what is front-end developer, what is his place in the whole like project and production of any kind of website or application, with whom you will cooperate in that project, what are your career perspectives, because there are several ways you can grow, of course. We have discussed, yeah, so you can either grow let's say vertically, so you will become a junior front-end developer, then middle and senior, but there are also so many possibilities. You can gain new skills and master new technologies and become like a totally new specialist in the field. And those everything will be listed alongside with the challenges that you may face, so only not the best and the most beautiful part of the profession, but also real life challenges you may face during your day-to-day work, that you should be ready to face actually. So I hope that a PDF guide will be also very handy to you in case you just need a quick access to the information we are talking about today. And it will be also sent to you in the email alongside with this presentation and the recording. And well, as I have mentioned, we are finished with the whole huge informational part we prepared for you today, but that doesn't mean that we are ending the event. Here we have the most important interaction of today's evening, which is Q&A session. So please, any questions you would like to ask to our today's speaker, Manoz, both regarding career development, how you actually start in the field, especially today, yeah, with this overwhelmed market, basically, to starting, how do you start, what are the main technologies you should master. So everything you would like to ask, maybe you would like to ask a personalized advice in your personal case, everything will be it will be like our pleasure to answer all those questions and to hopefully help you guide through this journey through those questions. And yeah, I have one question already. Thanks so much, Andy. So the question is, tell us, please, how overcrowded the job market is these days, of course, and what are today's standards in terms of salary for a beginner front-end developer?
Yes, thank you for the question. Actually, this is an important question. Mm, of course, the market is super crowded actually. You know why you are here, right? Because you have an interest in the software and the tech. Similar to you, there are so many people who has interest, and the number is getting increased every single year. And there is a hype, right, everywhere around. The next big thing is the IT, the technology, the software, right? So everybody is there. Everybody wants some pieces of cake, right? So of course the market is tough. And after the post COVID, we know how the people are transitioning into the tech. Again, the market is tough. But having said that, there is also the scarcity of the quality people in the industry. So that means there is opportunity as well, right? So if you learn the concepts, if you make yourselves a full-fledged good at what you do, then there is 100% opportunity that you'll land a job. Of course, the process is seems tedious, right? There will be a series of interview, there will be a task assessment, right? So the process of getting into a job is a kind of multiple steps you need to take into. But once you pass over those all things, then you can easily land into the job. So I hope I answered the first part. The second part is regarding the salaries, right? So it depends. Like there is no, the this and this kind, yes or no kind of answer. It depends which parts of the planet you are from. Are you from developing country, or are you from Silicon Valley? Right? It really depends. It depends upon the living expense of that place also, right? But typically, if you see the global market, if you compare the tech salaries with other, non-tech professionals, you can clearly see, okay, there will be at least 2x, starting at least 2x than salaries. And this is just a starting, right? So how those companies actually calculate, okay, this is the salary I have to give to you. It really depends upon your capability, competency, and what you can bring into the table, right? So there is no bar. The good part is in tech, there is no bar. You can earn from, you can actually raise your salaries twofold, threefold, fivefold every year. It's up to you, right? So with that said, I'm not making you too optimistic. There will be a hard times also getting a good salaries. It depends. So focus on the companies. You can do research like who are what are the companies who pays high. Go to the Glassdoor, go to the Indeed, see the average salary, see the reviews, and you can decide, okay, this is the kind of company I need to get into. And on top of that, also the industry matters. If you are going into fintech, biotech, the salaries will be high. But if you are going into web development, the AI, the normal kind of IT, then the salary will be average. So pick industry wisely, and also make yourself so competent that it will be a byproduct at the end.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank
for
you.
sharing. The next question, which I believe is very interesting. Is such a course just as worthy as a bachelor degree in software development when trying to get a job? I'm hesitant what choice is better for me, time-wise, money-wise, and skill-wise.
Okay, this is interesting. I actually flashback to myself. Actually, I have done the master's in computer science actually, but when I completed my bachelor in computer science, then only I started the coding. But I'll tell you the honest truth, when I was in the computer science, I decided I'll never write a code in my life. I'll not go into the IT field. I'll do different things. I'll do design, digital marketing, different kind of, because I have those interests that point of time. But I took a shot and later I realized, okay, this is my passion eventually, right? So with all my this experience, having a computer science degree, master's degree, I won't say like don't go to the college. If you are in the college, do drop out. I'm not like Elon Musk, that you don't have to go to college. If you can afford, go to the college. If you want to gain some, of different kinds of the computer science informations, academical exposure, then go to the college, because at this point I think you haven't decided your career completely, right? So you are looking for every kind of tech opportunity. So having academic will always be a plus. If you are going to a government job, if you are going to a corporate, sometimes they ask for academic certification also. But in my life nobody asked me. That's maybe the fortunate. It depends, right, what kind of companies you are chasing for. So typically, if you can solve particular problem, they will hire you. They will not seek for, okay, if you are some 10th fail, if you don't have bachelor's degree, they don't care, most of the people. But just think, okay, there are two-person at the same company with same capability, but one has computer science, one doesn't have. Then of course that person has a little more information, little more competency, right? Little more understanding of the tech. Then the chance of that person getting opportunity will be higher than you, right? So why to leave an excuse if you can go to the college, if you can manage everything? So this is my suggestion. This would be my suggestion. But it's okay. It's up to you at the end. I don't know your circumstances, what you are going through, what you are planning, right? So I think you can take a wise decision with this information.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, the I would say the time-wise frame is pretty clear because you know how much time you will spend at university versus the courses. The money issue is also like pretty clear because you know the tuition at the average college and you can ask the prices for the courses. The most important probably is the skill set. And that's the great part is that you can ask both our teacher, for example, like about the curriculum, the topics that we'll have, and also try to find maybe graduates from the college, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
who have those experiences, who have graduated and can share their honest opinions. That also like my part of advice, if
Yes,
you don't mind
100%.
joining.
Yeah, I want to add one thing. So if you are thinking, okay, after having a degree, I'll land a job, the answer is no directly because college, the curriculum of college is not designed for getting a job ready. So while you are working job, sorry, while you are doing academic thing, you have to learn coding by investing extra time. You have to do some professional course. You have to take participate in clubs, and at the end, then you there is a high chance you'll land a job. But just having an academic, the knowledge, there is a less likely chance you'll land a job. I'm not demotivating you, but be ready. Okay, prepared your if you are joining, prepare your 4 years, 3 years timeline in such a way that with academic you will also have the skill sets. Yeah, thank you. We can go to the next.
Actually, those are all the questions that I see for now. In case you will come up with a question tomorrow morning after the event, please book a free consultation with educational advisor. They will help as much as they can as well regarding the front end career, but also those general questions about is it better to go to a college or to pick a course. They will also lay all the possibilities and discuss and help you pick the best option, not to strictly go to the course, but actually what are your goals in life regarding your career, where would you like to land a job, which sphere, which company will probably like discuss and do a research together, and they will help you make a decision that will suit you personally regarding your circumstances, regarding your like inspirings and aspirings in your life. So yeah, I hope that will be also a handy stuff. And thank you so much for joining today's event. I hope that it was helpful and interesting for you. And Manas, thank you so much for sharing your experience, for answering the question. So I hope to see you either as future students at the Beetroot Academy, of course, but also as attendees at the next events. I hope you have a great evening. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, see you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.